Welcome to DFS Insights, where the game behind the game comes to life. I am David Geislinger, and alongside me is David Grant Jr., my cousin and co-strategist. The teams up on the block are the Boston Celtics at the Dallas Mavericks.
We're zeroing in on game 3 for the Boston Celtics as they travel to Dallas, where they have been undefeated so far here in the 2024 playoffs on the road. David and I will dive deep into our top 3 players that we like most for this specific game in the series. We're going to break down the strategy behind our picks and share the insights that will help put your lineups over the top and into the money.
Yeah, nice. So here we go. Game 3. It seems like it's been a week already for the freaking finals. So fortunate enough, teams are getting the rest, I guess, now in between games. But before we get into game 3, let's go ahead and do what we typically do: break down game 2 here, the previous game. So Boston did end up winning that one, 105-98. Top 3 fantasy producers on each team. You have Doncic, PJ Washington, and Gafford for Dallas, and Drew Holiday, Tatum, and Derek White for Boston. The optimal lineup is, Luka had a heck of a night, triple double, 32 points, 11 assists, 11 rebounds. He came in at the MVP. Then Holiday at star, Tatum at pro, Gafford, and then Derek Jones summed it up there at the utility. It was duped about 15 times or so, they split about 11K there. So 15, not bad for a 100K payout. So moving on in here to the ownership. These are the average ownerships for games 1 and 2, and with the new game 3 salaries. So Luka's still, up there. He did drop from about 60% there. So yeah, I think it's be interesting to see. A few people actually went down salary, and another few went up. And with Porzingis out, ownership will definitely change. Well, not out, but wait, we'll see in the next slide here. So getting into game 3, heading into Dallas. Dallas is actually favored by 2.5. That will probably change if news comes out for Porzingis. More news, I should say. 213 over under. Looks like Celtics offensive rating 112.8, defensive rating 100. The pace is sitting at about 93.75, so it's creeping up a little bit. Big injuries for both sides. So if you guys didn't watch game 2, Porzingis did hurt his leg. They're officially saying it's not related to the other injury, but sure, I believe him. So officially, he's listed as game time decision with a torn medial retinaculum that that caused a dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon. I'm no doctor and I don't speak French, but I'm pretty sure that means he's going to be out. Uh, there. So it's not officially out yet, but whatever I just read to you guys, to me, that means I'm assuming he's out.
Hey, just so you know, while FanDuel is saying it is unrelated, it is definitely related because it's on the same leg. And when you are recovering from one injury, all of your other ligaments and muscles must be stronger around it to help support it. And he tore a ligament underneath the arch of his foot. I mean, it's a freak injury
Yeah.
because it was making up for his calf injury. So that's my 2 cents on it. And everything I'll be saying today is if he is not playing this next game for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And then we have Doncic, who's getting injected with pain relievers and playing. So he's officially listed as game time decision. I'm assuming he's gonna he's gonna play. I don't have any doubt there, and whether or not he's gonna take pain medicine to help him out. Whatever, as long as he, uh, as long as he performs, I guess. So yeah, with that, I don't know too much to say about all that crazy stuff, but Game 3 looks to be entertaining. So anything to add before we get into it?
No, sir. Let's dive right in.
All right, who you got? Who you got as your first player here? Oh, wait, before we get into it, make sure you do hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. Comment for the algorithm. You know how that YouTube algorithm works. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it now.
Yeah. On. Yeah, my first pick here. I've been going Jason Tatum the last 2 games, but I'm now switching over to the other side. I'm going Luka Doncic. He is 17-5, but the no series is actually officially started until someone has lost a home game. Dallas is now, even though they're down 0-2, this is a must-win game. They're at home. They are favored. If Luka does the Luka things he's been doing, he's gonna be at the MVP spot. Most people haven't really come close, to be honest. I know Jaylen Brown was MVP in Game 1, but if Luka performs, that Game 1 I'm kind of putting as an aberration. They set records and that type of stuff. So roster Luka at MVP. You're gonna have to differentiate somewhere else. Those points are just too valuable to have when he's gonna have another 30-point triple-double. You're just gonna have to have him in your lineup. So put him in your lineups. What are your thoughts on that? And who do you got for your first play?
Yeah, I'm gonna unfortunately agree with you. Yeah, I mean that's not my pick, but with Luka, I was trying to look, leverage elsewhere, but just as much leverage as you need at the MVP spot. I mean, you gotta go with you also can't sacrifice that much median projection. Point wise, he's right now averaging above 60 points for the most part. Like you mentioned, Game 1, even still 45.5 is still quite a bit of fantasy. So points there, but yeah, no, I like him at the MVP. I'll probably be less than 57%. That's what I think he's at now. He's averaging about 57% ownership. I'll probably be a little less on him just in case, but yeah, I'll probably be about, anywhere from 40 to 50% ownership on my lineups with him. So yeah, kind of don't have too much to say. I mean, speaks for himself, really. I'm going to go with the second up in here. He hasn't been doing great this series, but I'm going to keep going back to him. So Kyrie Irving, I do have him at, it says MVP and star. I did mention this last time too. I'll be having him at MVP with 5% ownership there, and the potential for him to be at MVP is always there. So, at 5%, I got to have at least, some exposure to him at the MVP. At star, he's coming in at about 17%. The minutes are there, 39 minutes, second highest usage on the team at 24.4. He's averaging 23.5 fantasy points this series. However, if you add up all the playoff games, all of them, he's averaging 36 points. So, he is projected 37.5. So I'm hoping, he is, going to hit, those mid 30 points here. So having him at the star, and then even if he gets, his, upper 80 point his range there, upper 80% on his projection points or whatever, I'll like to have him in the MVP. So he is in this series basically the fourth highest fantasy scorer. So the potential for him to be MVP is always there. So what do you think about Kyrie for my, I think, third time in a row now?
For sure. Hey, it's not bad to keep going back to the well, especially as his price goes down and whatnot. I love him at the star for sure. MVP, depending on how many lineups you're doing, It's advantageous, but not that much. Like you said, he's one of the top four players that are out there. So he is a guy who has a 70 fantasy point ceiling. So at any point, he could be the highest scoring fantasy person out there. And the leverage you're going to get with the ownership is just amazing. I think the Boston crowd got to him more than usual. I mean, we've never seen Kyrie bouncing balls off of his feet, throwing errant passes just out of bounds. It was just strange. So I think coming back to Dallas, I think we're going to see a different Kyrie, and he's going to turn the leaf. So I'll have a lot of exposure at the star position, trying to get some leverage there for sure. And I'll have him at the MVP a little bit as well. So yeah, love the play.
All
Who do
right.
you got here second up on the clock?
Second up on deck here, I'm gonna go Al Horford. Obviously, this is going to be, even bigger of a leverage play, or probably not as much of a leverage play. I should actually say if Porzingis is out, because then naturally all that is going to probably everybody's going to look straight at Al Horford here. I do have him at the pro for the leverage. He's coming in at 9K. He's getting 29 minutes, in the series so far, 9.4 usage. He's averaging 24.2 fantasy points, and he's only projected 20.6 here. But I think once the news drops that Porzingis is out or will be out, obviously I believe his projection will go up. So he averaged 5%, the pro so far this series, so that's great leverage there. In Indiana, he only maxed out at about 6%. So looking back, with Porzingis out versus Indiana, he averaged 34 plus minutes with a 13.4 usage, and 31.45 fantasy points there. So, and then when you go even further back to Cleveland, 31.5 minutes at 25 and a half fantasy points average for those series. So, he is getting, quite a bit more usage and, production when Porzingis is out. So I will be definitely having him in at, the pro spot if Porzingis is mentioned out. So what do you think about Mr. Horford before we get to your second?
Yeah, love the play. I think he's almost a must play. I think that you even have to eat the chalk at utility if you decide to put him there. The play, obviously, in the leverage play is putting him in the pro spot, like you mentioned. Someone like him, who's basically been between 8,500 and 9,500. Most people are going to just slam him in the utility because of his salary. So it's going to be that the leverage you're going to get at the pro spot and what his upside is. I think this is going to fall into Dallas's hands. Him and PJ Washington have a similar game in a way. They both shoot threes. Al's a little more diverse, has a little bit more big man in him, but he also shoots the three. And again, he's going to get more minutes, more usage with Zingis. To me, not playing. If Zingis does attempt to play, he'll be in, hurt himself, and be out within 3 minutes. So, great play. I'll also be having exposure to him quite a bit in the pro spot, and if not, I'll eat the chalk in the utility.
All right. Who do you got as your second pick here?
Yeah, my second pick, I'm going to go with Mr. Derek White from Boston. Uh, Derek White, he's now, dropped down to 11,000. He played 38 minutes, had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and 3 steals, and had 41 fantasy points last game. When Porzingis goes out, it seems to affect his usage, is a pattern that I've noticed. The final game in Indiana, he played 42 minutes and had 50 fantasy points, and he was basically averaging about 42 and a half fantasy points a game through that series. And he fits perfectly into this matchup against Dallas. So I could see his usage going up. He'll be taking some more threes. He's the most efficient 3-point shooter right now in the finals, or I think in the finals or the playoffs, one of the two. And he's even been great on defense with the blocks. So yeah, Derek White's a must play. I'll be playing him at the pro. Um, Possibly at the star as well, hoping that he just has one of those 50-point games, and then maybe Jaylen Brown has a 47 fantasy point game or something where he just edges him out. Drew Holiday stepped up last game. Who's going to step up this game? I think it's going to be Derek White. So I got Derek White, at the star position is the leverage play, but definitely have him in your lineups, throughout. So what are your thoughts on that? Then I'll give you my final play.
Yeah, no, I like that Derek White at the star. You get the leverage there. He's coming in at about 7.5% ownership there. Pro, he's coming in at about 17%, and he has been doing pretty well in the playoffs. However, his usage is actually higher when Porzingis is playing, at least in this series, compared to Indiana and Cleveland. Is slightly higher. However, his production, is roughly about the same. I mean, in the last games in Indiana, but looking at Indiana, their defense is the 13th worst in the playoffs. So, yeah, they didn't do too good. Cleveland was 7th, Miami was 12th. So the production from the Celtics, offensive wise, has been pretty easy, and obviously they're putting on a clinic here for the Mavericks too. But Derek White, I like him. He plays both sides of the ball very well, and he has the potential to get blocks at a guard position, which is awesome. So I will be definitely having him. Probably more in the star than the pro, just for the leverage. So
Nice, nice, right on. So we'll roll into my final play. My final play is Mr. Derek Lively at 8,500. He's coming off two, poor games. One of them he was in the game one, he was in foul trouble early, was an issue in game one. In game two, just couldn't get it together, just like I can't speak. And so I think now, being as a rookie back at home, in front of his home crowd, no 7'3" Porzingis in the way. I think you're going to see Lob City. It's going to be Lobs are going to be happening again. Dallas's offense is going to be rolling. Porzingis threw a whole different wrench into what Boston can do as a defense to stop Dallas. And with him not in there, it completely changes everything. So, man, at 8,500, this is going to be an amazing bounce back game for Lively. I could see him getting his 24 to 29 minutes, like he did last series, and really having a 30 fantasy point plus performance, with no Porzingis in there. So, yeah, I'll be having him. You know, I'm sure he'll be chalky. I'm hoping that Gafford is more the chalk at utility. So I will still be going to Lively as contrarian to save some on the ownership. But if you do slide Lively up into the pro, that could be another guy. If it's not Al Horford, Lively is another guy who does have upside if and because Porzingis is not going to be there at the pro spot. So, what are your thoughts on that? And who do you got here to wrap us up with your final play?
yeah, no, I'm gonna agree because that's my third pick as well, Mr. Lively. However, I primarily like him at the pro position, coming in at 8,500 salary this week. Like you mentioned, he even dropped further. It was a very tough call between him and Gafford, because Gafford seems to be doing fairly well in this series. He's getting actually, an increase of minutes. So I'm hoping with Porzingis out, Lively can, get that production back. He's only averaging, 18.8 minutes. Usage is way low, down compared to the previous series at 9.3, only averaging 9.5 fantasy points. He's projected 18.5, so that's good. Obviously, I'm looking for more mid 20s, low 30s at the pro, but game one he was 6.9% owned at the pro, and he had a terrible game. Game two he's only 2% owned, and he had a worse game. So I'm hoping he's going to be one is 0 to 1% ownership in the pro, and he has one of those games, because that right there is almost enough leverage, and you can go pretty chalky elsewhere hitting on a 1% person. So he averaged 26.5 fantasy points against Timberwolves, 22.5 against OKC. Celtics gave up 24 points average to Turner, Indiana, and gave up 40.9 to Mobley for Cleveland. So, and then that's without Porzingis. So I'm hoping Lively can capitalize on him being out. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, it looks like 5 players. We overlapped here on Lively, but I think it's a good indication that it is a good play. So tell us what you think. Make sure you do like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, drop a comment to help us out. We're finishing up covering here. I'm kind of hoping this goes 7 games, so we can get 7 chances at that 100K. And it's a pretty good matchup, pretty good games to watch as well. So with that, also, if you're subscribed to the channel, you notice that we are covering UFC here. NBA is wrapping up, so we're diving, into UFC over there for DraftKings. So, make sure notification bell on, and you'll know when that video drops, the next video drops. So with that, good luck. Hope to see you up on that leaderboard, David.
Hey, let's go Dallas. I'm not flip-flopping or anything. I do want Boston to win the series, but I do want it to be a series. I don't need a sweep or anything like that. I want to see some good basketball. I think now the playing field's a little more level without Porzingis, and this should be a great game, and I can't wait to see it tomorrow. So good luck to everyone out there, and hope to see you guys up at the top. See you guys on the next one.